Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Rob, and welcome back to the channel that will single-handedly make you the best mechanic that any of your friends know, provided none of them are mechanics. So if you have a problem with your car, here's a simple trick. Find a real mechanic, get them to fix it, and then you take all the credit for it. It's flawless. I mean, kinda, unless you have to talk to a real mechanic and you claim that you fixed it and they know you don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, that's my piece of useless advice for this video. Let's get to gaming stuff. In this video we're going to talk about Game Master screens, Dungeon Master screens, whatever you want to call them, and customizing your own. But before we jump right into that, I would like to thank all of our new subscribers that have joined the Rob's Game Group community, the Rob's Game Group family here. We've had quite a few lately. Hope you guys are enjoying the channel. If there's types of videos that you want to see or games you want to hear me review or whatever, you can put stuff in the comments or you can contact me on Facebook at Rob's Game Group, all one word. There'll also be a link in the comments below this video for it. Probably. Now, that doesn't mean that I will do videos on everything that people suggest because, like I've stated before, I don't get paid to do this, so I do it out of fun. And that means that I make videos based on things that I find interesting. So if it's not something that I find interesting, then I'm probably not going to do a video on it. But I do find GM screens interesting. In fact, I have an obsession with them. I have tons of gaming products from board games to role-playing games, so this entire room is just packed with stuff. But one of the things that I look at immediately when I get into a game is a role-playing game, is what does it have a GM screen or a Dungeon Master screen or whatever. And a lot of times they do, and sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're not. I don't think that any of the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons screens are good. I think they all have really cool art on the player side, but on the Game Master side, they may have a few things here and there that are useful, but they also have a lot of things that are completely irrelevant, in my opinion. I find that I don't find a lot of the stuff useful on their screens. So I've often done, when I did run 5th edition, I've often done my own notes and things on my side of the screen for stuff that I find useful during the game. But there are some that put out really good ones. I really like the screen for the Alien role-playing game. I think it's really, really good. But then there are, like I said, the D&D ones, not so much. And then you run into the problem of some games either don't have a GM screen at all because they're a smaller game or they just don't put one out, or they have a GM screen and there are no physical copies of it, so you have to download it, print it out, and somehow put it together yourself. And there are several different ways that you can do this, and I'm not obviously going to be able to cover every way that everybody thinks of, because I've seen people do stuff and I'm like, well, that's really pretty neat, all the way to, I don't really think that's going to work, but, you know, to each his own. So I'm going to go over like 2 or 3 types of screens that I use. This is not about a company that puts out a screen that you really like. If the game you like has a screen and you enjoy it, you're good to go. This is more about if you don't have a physical screen that you can buy for the game and you need to customize and do your own, what are a couple of your options? Okay, so one of the things you end up with when you collect games for as long as I have is you end up with lots of extra stuff. and I still had for one of the screens that I put together, I still had an old 4th edition D&D screen. I'm never gonna run or play 4th edition ever again, ever. But I had the screen, and if you watch my channel, you know I'm a big fan of Basic Fantasy role-playing game. I think Chris Gonnerman did a great job with the game. I enjoy it a lot. I run 2 games a week for Basic Fantasy. One is an adult's game, one is a kid's game. And one of the things that they don't put out is they don't put out a physical copy of the screen. So you have to print it out and make your own. Now, they do have it in both formats, both landscape and portrait format, and I've utilized both. But I needed some way to attach it. So I had this landscape version of it, and then I had the landscape D&D 4th Ed screen, and I thought, well, I'll just use it as a base and put everything on that screen and then reuse it. So that's what I did. I took the Basic Fantasy one, and then I added my own art stuff to the outside and the Basic Fantasy cover for the screen. And then on the inside, I put all of the charts and tables that go along with the screen. And everything's taped into place with clear box tape, which is shiny on this light, but not generally when you're sitting at the table. And it works pretty good. It's not my final version of this because I have discovered another way that I like doing it, but I'll touch on that in a minute. If you have old GM screens for games that you're never going to play again, don't throw them out. You can always use them for current games by printing out the relevant charts that you like, pasting them on the inside. Even if the company doesn't produce their own inserts, you can go through a PDF, print out the charts that you like, glue or paste them to the inside of the screen, pick some art, print it out, put it on the outside of the screen. Boom, there you go. You got a screen. It works. And you spent virtually nothing on it. Now, I have done that. I have taken, I got one that I didn't dig out, but I've got a Star Wars Edge of the Empire screen. I don't play Fantasy Flight Star Wars. I play D6 Star Wars. Getting your hands on the old D6 Star Wars screens can be problematic and expensive at best. So I took the pages from the PDF, printed them out, and attached them to the inside of that screen. So I have this cool Star Wars art on the outside, and on the inside I have the charts and stuff for the old West End Games D6 Star Wars, which is what I run when I run it. So doing it like that works. And then they also, especially for landscape, they sell them in this size. This is going to look goofy to you, trust me. This is a landscape one that I've had for many, many years. And the stuff on these are all inserts. The brown is inserted, and it has all these stickers attached to it. And these were done. This was done for a Kids on Bikes game, which is why I was all like, let's just stick stuff from the stickers from the 80s on there. And on the inside, I had the inserts for the game screen, or for the GM screen, inside that, because they did not produce their own. Now, it has the problem of the seam starting to come apart, top and bottom. I've had to tape that over the years. But like I said, I've had this for a very long time. But if you're doing everything in landscape, you can still get these brand new, and they will last for years, because I've probably been using this one for at least 10 years. And you can get them off of Amazon. They're a little expensive in my opinion. They're like $30 for the landscape one. And there's really only one option if you go on there. But if that's the kind of screen you want the landscape size, then you can get it on there. So you could either make your own out of an old D&D screen, that's landscape, or you could go buy one that you can put the inserts in, because this is just, it's just plastic, and then I inserted the card with the stuff into it. So there's two options for doing that. The other one that I'm going to talk about is another customizable screen. This one I just got in, and I bought it specifically to make a screen for another game that I'm in love with right now. Dark Places and Demogorgons by Bloat Games. Fantastic game. I've got a video on how much I enjoyed going through the book. I tore through that book in one night, like just front to back, could not stop. But I needed a screen for it. And we'll try to touch on the need for a screen in a minute. But I ended up going and buying, there are some other more reasonably priced customizable GM screens on Amazon that you can find. And this one I found for 20 bucks. So I figured I'd give it a shot. This is the thing that came off of the Masters Tome customizable GM screen. That's what it looks like on the ad right here. It comes with inserts for 5th edition D&D, which I don't find useful, but I will say this. If I was wanting a good 5th edition screen, this is better than the ones that WotC puts out for their 5th edition game. I'll show you some of the inserts it comes with, and they're double-sided, so you can choose whichever side you want. But you've got combat inserts, player reference inserts for them and the boss monster. You've got adventuring, which is stats breakdown, difficulty checks, obscurity, lighting. The other side is attack of opportunity triggers. That's always nice to have. Can't tell you how many times in the game it's like, does this call it an attack of opportunity? I don't remember. Conditions, two-sided. The only problem with the two-sided part of this, oh, I'm sorry, the one side is 5th edition D&D, the other side is Pathfinder. And I believe it's Pathfinder 1st edition, not 2nd edition. I could be wrong about that. If somebody knows, because maybe you play Pathfinder 2nd edition and you're familiar with these screens, let me know in the comments. But I think it is Pathfinder 1st edition. But it's kind of neat that whether you're playing Pathfinder 1st edition or 5th ed D&D, you just flip the page to whichever side you want. And then they have these for the front, which is, each one is just a different color. They're kind of blah, but they are, I don't know about the Pathfinder screen, but I do know that this is way better than the 5th ed screen. And the actual screen, you can pick the color on. It's like red, blue, green, black, silver, I think, might be it. But I made, sorry about that, stupid phone. I made a screen for Dark Places and Demogorgons with it. Print it out, because they have the inserts on their website. You can print them out. And then I have all of my relevant charts for running the game on the inside. I really like this. I like the way it turned out. I'm very happy with this. I've seen some of the other products on there have reviews that the plastic was real wavy and the inserts didn't look good when you put them in. This one, they were very flat, very slick, and it just looks really good. I was very, very happy with it. And of course everything on the inside is very legible. You can read it all real well when you don't have my glare on it. But that is an option too, and most games are going to give you an option if they put out inserts for you to print out and make your own GM screen. They're going to, most of the time, they're going to give you the option for landscape or portrait. This did not. This, as far as I could find, only had portrait. But that's fine because the portrait customizable screens are 20 bucks. So like I said, I ordered one to try it out. They are made by Stratagem. And they get my seal of approval because I really like it. In fact, I ordered another one immediately after making this screen to make another screen for Basic Fantasy because I want one of these for it. And they do have both. They have Basic Fantasy has both the landscape and the portraits versions of their GM inserts on their website. So I think it's in the downloads page. Excuse me. So I went ahead and downloaded everything, and with it, I'm going to take. I've already printed a bunch of them out. I took a bunch of. I'm a big fan of Clyde Caldwell or Keith Parkinson, obviously Larry Elmore. This artwork from the early days of D&D just really does it for me. So I took 4. I took more than that. I took like 8, but I took a bunch of pictures that I really liked, that when I look at one of these pictures, it makes me think old school role playing. And then I printed them out, and I'm going to insert them on the player side for art. And then I have the portrait size inserts to go in it for my Basic Fantasy game. So, I mean, if you want, you can get it either way. If you want landscape or portrait, portrait's going to be a little cheaper. You can choose the background color on it. I liked the red, so I was like, yeah, I'll get the red. I thought it looked good with the pictures that they had. And but you can get it, like I said, you can get it in different colors on there. And I already had one that was black, basically, because I think this one only comes in black. I don't think you can get it in different colors. But you could do that. You can make your own, like I said, with an old DM screen. Or you can use these customizable screens. And you don't have to buy multiples of them. You could buy one and swap your inserts in and out. I am lazy, so I am going to buy multiples of them for each game I need to make one of these for. And then this is just going to be the dedicated screen for that game. Should I ever quit playing it and move to another game, then I can change the inserts out. I don't have to buy another one. Let's see. That is pretty much it. I just wanted to show a couple of different ways that you can make your own screen. I've seen people take binders and take them together to make their own screens. That's the other thing I wanted to touch on is when you start talking about GM screens in general, it tends to a lot of times the conversation can very easily among GMs become whether or not you even need one. I am of the camp that if I can put a GM screen on the table, I'm going to. It's not so much for the concept of fudging dice, because if I'm just going to fudge all the... Now, I'm not going to say I've never fudged a dice roll before, because I don't care for my players dying to some random mook who just happened to get a lucky shot off. Though it has happened. But I don't really do a lot of the fudging dice rolls, but there are dice rolls that I make that I don't want the players to know what the result was. Especially with, I would say even with modern D&D, but especially with old school D&D, when your thief is checking for traps, searching for stuff, whatever, trying to find doors, they don't need to make that roll. You need to make that roll, and you need to make it in secret. Yes, you could do it behind your hand or something, but having the screen up gives you the opportunity to have notes about the game easily at your disposal. It allows you to hide your notebook back here so they can't see your maps or your notes that you have going on. And it gives you a place to roll for them on things that they should not know how well they did. Because the player shouldn't roll everything. If they're searching, I'm checking for traps. Is the chest trapped? Well, I should roll for it. And I know whether he succeeded or failed. But regardless, I'm going to be like, looks clear. And we see what happens. But there are GMs who refuse to use screens of any kind, and that is their prerogative. if they're watching this, I'm not really sure why they would watch this video. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, I am just rambling at this point. So I hope that you found something useful in this that you can take away. If you have other ideas about making GM screens, put them in the comments. If you have pictures, try to link to your pictures of GM screens you've made. Inspire other people, especially newer GMs who are trying to get in and figure all this out. Because that's what we're here for, is to help each other, man, and women. That's really all I've got for this week. I hope all of you stay safe out there. And until next time, good gaming and good luck.